Hey, SQL in the City, welcome back. Let's keep going. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff. The title of my session is Think Your Databases Are Safe? Think Again. So let's get going. Now the goals of the session are pretty simple. I do want to talk about some of the threats that our databases are under. There's all kinds of stuff going on these days, hacks, attacks, all sorts of stuff happening, and we really need to do more to protect our databases. So what I want to do is I want to spend some time talking about how SQL Monitor can help you protect your estate better. That's the plan. We're going to talk about some estate monitoring and some threats to your systems. So let's get going on it. Now, my name is Grant Fritchey. I work for Redgate Software, and I love my job. Now, if you've got questions after today, I would love for you to get in touch with me. This is my contact information. This is where my blog is located, my email, my Twitter handle, my YouTube channel. Track me down. I will try to help you out. That's why I live. So please, please, please take advantage of that. Now, hopefully you've seen this before. I gotta say this is one of my favorite infographics because it does the kind of thing that I really, really want an infographic to do. It tells a story in a clear fashion. And if you haven't seen it already today, just let me walk you through it real quick, and we can start anywhere, but I'll start with protect. The whole idea of DevOps, when we start talking about compliant DevOps especially, the whole idea of DevOps is to provide a mechanism for communication, absolutely. It's to deploy software faster, absolutely. It's to deploy software safer, absolutely. But thinking about it as a DBA, I want to protect and preserve my data. That's a very fundamental aspect of everything that we do. So we're working on that at Redgate so we can help you provide that. We're also talking about standardizing your team-based development. You know, we're not doing this stuff alone. Everybody's involved. You know, you've got a DBA team, you've got all these other teams, and so you're engaged with all these things. And we have automation. Now, automation is going to be occurring, and so all of these things are part of DevOps. They are fundamental to DevOps. But one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about in DevOps is monitoring. And the fact is monitoring is a fundamental aspect of DevOps. You can't get away from it. It's absolutely something that we'll be doing a lot of. So you know what? Let's get into it. Let's start talking about monitoring. Just talking about monitoring and estate monitoring. Now I'm going to switch back over here to my monitoring window. And what I've got here is SQL Monitor, and I've got it at monitor.redgate.com. So this is a publicly available thing that you guys can get into and start looking at yourselves. You don't have to wait for me to walk you through it. You don't have to install anything. You just go and run it, and then you can start seeing things. Now, where I want to focus, I do want to focus on the estate monitoring, because I want to talk about the idea that you're not monitoring one server, you're not monitoring one database. You're monitoring multiple servers, multiple databases. There's a lot going on inside your system. So let's talk about that first. Let's just kind of get that out of the way and spend some time talking about that. One of the things I'd like to bring up immediately is when we start talking about estate monitoring, one of the things we have is the ability to look at the installed versions of your SQL Server instances. Now this is maybe not that exciting until you start thinking about the security aspects of what that entails. Because basically what we're saying is that you can tell which of your servers are on which version, which service pack, if you still get service packs, have been installed, which cumulative updates have been installed. And we've done one further. We've gone a little bit more, and so not only do we show you the server, but we also show you when it goes out of support. So now you've got a way to look at your entire estate, everything that you have, all at once, a single pane of glass, one view into your system, and see what's going on. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, damn. Sorry, I know you told me, I know. We were supposed to silence our phones before we started. Wait, did you see those errors? Hang on, let me do this, God, before I get in trouble. Whew. All right, that's done. Actually, I'll put it down here, just in case. I apologize, that was bad. But, so here's the deal. I'm actually watching, I've got some dev stuff going on, and I've been watching these, and so yeah, sure enough. So, I've had some alerts come in because I was suspicious that something was going on. Let's take a look at these alerts. I just want to kind of walk you up to this edge here and see what's going on. I recognize that we're interrupting the presentation. I apologize, but this is interesting. Let's bear with me, if you will. Now, what I've got here is 4 alerts right here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I've got 4 alerts that occurred in pretty specific order. Now, I've had some suspicious alerts. I have some suspicious errors coming up. And what I've got is I've got some very particular errors that I'm tracking through an extended event session that I've married into SQL Monitor, so I can see what's going on. And I've noticed that somebody created some new data tables on my system, again, combining a couple of little tricks, and someone changed some server configuration settings. And someone created a login. What I suspect is going on, based on these errors, based on the order that these errors occurred in, I think I've got some actual SQL injection occurring in my server. And so I'm very nervous here. Now, these errors are very specific, and I can show you which ones I'm talking about, but you know what? Let's switch back over to the slides for a second. And let's talk about SQL injection. Yeah, I had a plan all along. Let's talk about SQL injection, because SQL injection, depending on how we look at it, OWASP and CVE said it's one of the top 10, if not the #1 vulnerability out there that's going on right now, today, in all of your servers. And you know, it's a problem. If you look at White Hat Security, they've got it listed at number 14, which, you know, seems really far down the list. But when you consider that SQL as a concept is 50 years old, and SQL injection as an attack vector was first exposed publicly that I know of in 1998. Let's see, let's do the math. Oh wait, 30 years ago, is that right? No, 10, 20, 30. Yeah, no, 20. 20 years ago. I can't do math. Math is hard. 20 years ago. Still, 20 years. We've known about this problem for 20 years, and we still haven't gotten it right. So let's talk about it for a second. Now, we talk about data breaches, and we talk about something like, you know, privacyrights.org has this listed, happened just recently. Marriott, through Starwood, was hacked 500 million people's records. It's looking like the 2nd largest hack on record ever. And it exposed, you know, little things like your address, your email address, your name, your phone number, tiny things like your credit card, your passport number, just little stuff, no big deal, right? But I mean, it's hacks come in big and small. It's not simply, you know, the 500 million, oh my God, Starwood. It's little things. The Indio water thing had a hack that looks like, ooh, maybe they released some credit card records. This stuff is going on constantly. Now, do I know that either of these are SQL injection? Not yet. I'm looking. When I find out, I'll let you know. But the thing is data breaches are occurring more and more. They're occurring more frequently, and they're occurring with greater severity all the time. By the way, if you want to burn a day, or at least half a day, go to informationisbeautiful.com and look up their infographic on hacks and web hacks, because it'll really burn up time. But anyway, the whole idea here is these things are going on, and what we're not doing is we are not doing our due diligence. We are not doing DevOps correctly. We are not setting up our servers correctly. We are not doing the things that we have to do. We are failing the organizations that we are supposed to support. Now, you should have, but frequently they don't, because, you know, Peggy has the server under her desk. You should have physical security. It should be there. There should be, your server should be locked off, walled off in some fashion. If they're not in the cloud someplace, they're not at a service provider someplace behind locked doors, locked walls, and all that fun stuff. If it's all stored locally, that's fine, but even there it should be isolated. You can't have it so that anybody can walk up to the server and then, you know, plug in a USB thing and go to town. It doesn't work. You have to secure your servers. You also have to correctly secure your operating system. What's more, you have to ensure that your operating systems are patched in a timely manner. Security hacks occur because bugs and vulnerabilities get exposed, and then no one does the service packs or the cumulative updates to ensure that they're protecting the systems. Heck, I got hacked 2 years ago on my blog. Why? I hadn't updated it in about 3 months. Oh, big deal, it's a blog. Yeah, well, suddenly it wasn't my blog anymore. Now I managed to recover it, but it's all about making sure you've got the service packs installed. SQL Server, same deal. We need to properly secure SQL Server. You need to ensure that you've got correct security, and you need to ensure that you've got the service packs installed. Now, if we will go back, if you think back for a second to that state management that I was showing you, we can let you know through SQL Monitor whether or not you've got the right cumulative updates installed. So that's one thing that we're going to be helping with already. You also need to be ensuring that you're doing database security correctly. It's not a question of, maybe we'll get to security later. It has to be a fundamental aspect of how we set things up. And it means encrypting your backups on your databases, and it means encrypting some of the columns on the databases. There's nothing worse than watching someone take your credit card information and walk away with it. So we've got to do all these things. And then finally, the applications have to be built in a secure manner. I love one of the phrases out of the GDPR, and it's protection and privacy by design and by default. Just the idea is that we're not simply doing security because it's a good idea. We're not doing security because, well, I don't want to get hacked. We're doing security because it's the right way to get things done. And so when we talk again about compliant DevOps, fundamental to DevOps, fundamental to the processes that we do within DevOps, has to be some aspect of security and some aspect of protection against something like, especially something that's so well known as SQL injection. I mean, this has become a personal jihad of mine. I am absolutely adamantly against SQL injection, and I can't believe it's still a problem. As everyone knows, the little Bobby Tables joke, right, from XKCD. Fantastic joke, funny, absolutely. Please, can we eliminate Bobby from the earth? I just don't want him to be here anymore. We should not be dealing with SQL injection in this day and age. But we still are, so fine. If we're still dealing with it, let's figure out how best to deal with it. And one of the things we can do, let's assume that you're working in one of the environments where you've gone in and gone, really, have we not checked for SQL injection and validated that we're, whether or not we're secure? No, really? Well, can we? No, we can't afford that. Okay, fine. Hey, you know what? Let's set up monitoring so at least we know how to do it. Now let's go back over here to my application, and let me walk you through what's going on. Now, SQL Monitor doesn't by itself have built in right now monitoring for SQL injection. Okay, no big deal. What we do have, though, is we have the capability of setting up your own custom metrics. And those custom metrics can work with the tools inside SQL Server. And so what we've got now is we've set up some custom metrics, some very specific ones, targeted at SQL injection attacks and targeted at enabling you to monitor your servers, all your servers across your entire estate for SQL injection to find out if it's occurring inside your system. Because there's simple and clear attack vectors. I mean, we've known about it for 20 years, right? It's not like it's, wow, gosh, how can they do this? It's magic. No, no, no. We know exactly how it works. So there are specific things that we can look for, and all we've got to do is look for those specific things, track them down, monitor for them, and hey, you've got monitoring in place for SQL injection. So one of the first things you're going to want to look for, changes in permissions, roles, and logins. Yeah, because what are you going to do the first time you hack somebody's system? After you figure out a bunch of stuff, and by the way, I'm going to show you how to do it, kind of. This is not going to be an education in how to hack, but I'm going to show you how it works. But one of the first things you're going to do, if you've got any brains at all, is you're going to set up your own login, right? Because you want a backdoor so you can control things. Well, that's one of the things we're going to keep an eye on. What's another thing you're going to want to do? Well, you're going to want to change the configurations because probably you're very good DBAs. You've probably disabled XP Command Shell if you don't need it. I mean, I recognize there are some reasons why you might need it, but most of us have turned it off, made it go away, so we don't have to worry about it as an attack vector. Well, as an attack vector, I would like to turn it back on so I can do all kinds of cool things inside of your network. So I'll make a change to the configuration settings after I get control of your server. Also, database drift. If I make unauthorized changes to the database, because I'm going to move tables around, I'm going to rearrange data, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you've exposed everything to me and that I can get to do whatever I want. Well, getting to do whatever I want, one of the first things I'm going to do is start making changes. Also, there are some very specific errors, and we're going to go through some of them that are going to occur as you do a SQL injection attack. So these specific errors are going to occur a lot, because when someone comes in to hack your system, when they do SQL injection, they don't simply run one command and ta-da, they're in charge of your system. It doesn't work like that. They have to figure out what can they do with your exposed system. Okay, great, you've concatenated T-SQL in such a way you're not doing all the things you're supposed to do, and I'll get to how to fix it in a minute. But you're not doing all the things you're supposed to do to protect the system, so you've exposed it, okay? But how have you exposed it? What is exposed? What level of access do they have? They will have to experiment their way through your system to track all that stuff down. Those experiments create errors, some of which go into the error log, some of which don't, a lot of which don't. And so how do you track those down? Let me show you. But anyway, we combine all of these things together through some other stuff, and we're able to then do SQL injection tracking. So let me just drill down on these. I'm going to go over my configuration screen. Hang on. I need these to, I can see you, but I can't see that. I'm going to go down to my configuration screen, and I'm going to go to custom metrics. Now, I've only got 4 installed right now on this machine, just for you guys. And you see I've got access control changes, configuration item changes, object changes, and the suspicious errors. So these are the exact counters I showed you that are available out on our website. You guys can go and get them and install them now. You don't even need to wait for me. So let's drill down on these suspicious errors first. So it gives you a description. We've typed it in to make sure that you know why we're doing this. And then it's just a really straightforward SQL query. Select count from session targets, cross apply, and yes, we're using extended events, because I know you're all using extended events. We're using extended events, and you're not using trace, right? Good, good. Now we've got an extended event name called monitor suspicious errors. It is going to the ring buffer currently. You may or may not want to continue that. If you set this up permanently on your system, maybe you'd want to write it out to disk. Your call, you figure that out. But right now, for a simple setup, we've got it set up so it's looking at the ring buffers and pulling the information in. And then all we're doing is pulling in the last 2 minutes worth of data. So if in 2 minutes time there's been anything occurred for the specific set of errors, then bring that stuff back. I'm running it against one database on the master database, just one database per server, but across all my servers. And then I can test the metric collection. If we test it, I think it's going to come back with 0 right now because I've been chattering a whole bunch. But we'll generate some more errors here in a little bit. Yeah, it's 0 right now. But this does give you the ability to take a look and see how it's going. And then I collect everything once a minute. And so within a 2-minute window, once a minute, I'm collecting the information. And so I can tell you if these specific errors have occurred. Then, obviously, I've set up an alert. Now, the alerts, by the way, wasn't like some message to my phone. I'm actually on Slack, keeping track of it, using Slack to let the messages come through. Actually, I can even show you. Hang on. People don't believe me when I say that. Oops. That's SQL. There we go. Just gave away all of Redgate secrets in that one split second. But you can see that that all the messages came through Slack. So it's not that in any way was I lying there. All right, so now that's what's occurring inside of Monitor. Monitor has a T-SQL query that it runs. Now what's that T-SQL query running against? Well, that's where things get fun. We're taking advantage of the fact that extended events exists. And extended events allows us to set up some cool stuff. So in extended events, I can track if any error has been reported. There's an error reported event. Cool. But I don't care about any error. It would swamp the system. So instead, what we're doing is we're going after very specific errors. You'll notice specific error numbers, 102, 105, 205, 207. These are very specific syntax style errors because that's what you're going to see the most as you start to walk through these things is syntax errors. So we're tracking all those down, and we're also looking for permission denied errors. Those kinds of things are going to come up as someone is hacking your system, as they explore the system to figure out how it works and what you've got exposed. They're working their way through doing all these things. And so we've got all this stuff up. Now I want to show you, I generated an error. You guys saw it. It was part of the demo live in front of you. But I do want to show you my error log. Let's refresh. Now I've got the XP command shell when I reconfigured my server to change XP command shell from 0 to 1, and how evil is that? I've got that in the error log, but you'll notice there is no error for what occurred, what the other suspicious error was. Now the syntax error I generated was the, what was it? Yeah, 102. I generated the syntax error based on 102, and you don't see it here because it's not logged by default. So you would never see these unless you specifically set up an extended event session to track them. And if you set that up, then you have to set up monitoring to track that, and then you have to set up alerting based on that. And oh, by the way, we do all that stuff for you. So that's probably where you want to go, is to track these things down. So this information is a unique combination of the information supplied to us from the ability to track things from extended events and the ability to combine that with SQL Monitor to bring it back. Now, what is it that they're actually doing? What I've got running here is I've got oh God, I always forget the name for this. It's a Node.js system running, and I can call this RESTful method this way. And it's basically doing SQL injection. SQL injection is really simple. I've got T-SQL being combined as a string and executed. No checks on data types, nothing else. Now the way it's supposed to work is like this. You call the method, it comes back and returns you some data. Business ID 12 returns, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, but that information came back and you can see it. What if you're saying, well, I see this and I'm looking at this going, it sure looks like a call to a database and it looks like they've got open string calls to it. Let me see what I can do. I'll just put in, the close, the closing statement and select one. Let's just see what happens, because I can pull that back. Oh no, it caused an error. But the error it caused didn't say, what are you doing? This isn't valid input. No, it's a syntax error. Oh my. Well, now that I've got a syntax error, let me just, let me see how this works. I'm going to call a different value. Just, I'm going to stay away from the syntax error for a minute. Does that work? Yep, that returned a different value. Well, okay, does this work? Yeah, that returned a different value. Well, I've already got, I'm starting to figure out some stuff around your system. Let me try this. Let's just see what's going on here. Pass in a different string. Well, I pass in this string, and sure enough, look at there. Right up here, it's nice and big. Come on, there we go, highlighted. I'll even zoom so you can see what I'm talking about. There's error 207. It's a nice syntax error saying, hey, that's not quite right the way you've formatted that string. Oh, okay, well, I don't want to format strings badly. Remember, I'm wearing a black hat right now. I'm Mr. Hacker. Let me experiment and see if, can we do this way? Can we get multiple result sets back? No, that didn't work. Oh, hang on. Did I run it? Yeah, I did. Okay. So that didn't work. All right, fine. No big deal. Can I do this? So all I'm going to do is say, I'm going to change your where clause, or where 1 equals 1. Come on. Booyah! I got your data. I got the whole table. All right? I've got the whole table. Well, hang on. Let's stop that. We don't need to look at that data just yet. I've got the entire table. So that's cool. Can I do this? Let me just go over here, show you these magic words, because this is where it gets fun. Can I do this? Because as soon as I get this, you're dead, depending on the level of security that I've got, okay? So let's see if we can do that. Can we do that? Can we do union all? Because when we do union all, this is wonderful. Oh yeah, it did. Oh, and by the way, that's your server name and your database name. I now have them. Ah, it's good to be me. Oh, by the way, I forgot I was wired. Okay, cool. Well, let's start exploring. Let's see, well, we'll do a union. Is this server role part of disk admin? I don't know. Is it part of security admin? I don't know, we'll find out. Is it part of sysadmin? I don't know, let's check. Is it the server admin? I don't know, let's check. Let's get the server name and the user and the current user and union it, you know, and what the heck, let's go for the full thing. Is it DB owner, security admin, access admin, DDL admin? What can we do? Let me find out, because you're letting me query anything I want. So first thing I'm going to do is check your security settings. Let's go check that. Oh my. Hang on, let's just zoom up here so we can see this. You see? You know, I got to keep the, you know, I've got a lot of work in front of me because you're only letting me return a single data set. Oh gosh, the work that you've put onto my back, I hate this. But fine, I can only return one data set. And I can, you know, I have to put in, you know, customer name and person ID, but I know what they are. I've got my code in front of me. I know that in fact, come on, quit moving around on me. I know that in fact, that territory ID says that I am admin on the server, not simply admin inside of SQL Server. I get to do anything I want now. The world is my oyster. So let's start doing evil, because one would if one were a hacker. So this one is just another exploration. In this case, what I want to do is I just want to find out, is there any place that has an object name that looks like, well, I don't know. Let's just look at all the tables. Okay, cool. I've got every table in the database. That's nice. Wait, hang on. Now that I can look at the tables, let's find any that say credit card. So do any of the tables say credit card? Well, let's find out. Yeah, oh yeah, several tables say credit card. Well, I mean, let's go to the first one. And let's, you know, pull the information out and see if it's got, you know, the important stuff. Okay, I love you guys. Whoever database this is, not only have you set up SQL Injection, you know, for which you should be ashamed, that's bad. Not only have you set it up so that I've got sysadmin on the server and I've got sysadmin on the network and you know, I mean on the SQL instance, that's bad. But you've put your credit card information in an unencrypted format on this database so that I could track it all down and pull it up. And so, you know, I can't wait. I've got the credit card expiration date. I've got the 3-number check date. I've got every bit of information I need to go and start using all of these or sell them to somebody, post them online, do whatever I want to, any way I want to, and you've set me all up for that. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to do. What were you thinking? I mean, notice, this wasn't hard. I mean, yeah, it took me a few guesses, right? I've got to figure out, I've got to generate those errors. I've got to make some guesses at what's going on, and I need some updates, probably for security. I've got to go through the process of setting this stuff up. I mean, it's not like it's free or easy or simple, but I'm a thief. I'm not going to do honest work. I'm going to sit here and do these other things. By the way, I'm a lazy thief. There are, if you go and look them up online, and I'm not going to tell you where to look, you can go track it down yourself. There are already scripts that do all the hard work. The script kiddie hackers out there who couldn't code their way out of a paper bag can do exactly this stuff. And once, they just have to know the URL to try out. They don't have to know the details of walking through all the things that I've walked through. They don't have to know SQL syntax. They just have to know the URL that they want to try to hack. They send it to the URL, and ta-da, they do all the stuff that I just did. And so, I mean, it's just horrific because from there you can do anything you want. You know, let's just check. Are you guys in mixed mode, or are is it all AD? I mean, I kind of don't care because I could set up stuff either way. Oh, cool, it's mixed mode. That's good. Now that I know that it's mixed mode, let's create a new login. Now, my demo, when I run it automatically, it creates a login. And here, let me show it to you. 1 second. Security. Come on. Meant to have this open already. Sorry about that. So I created this login. MS security meter or metric or whatever. What's that mean? I don't know, nothing. It just looks like, some kind of MS policy event processing login, MS security meter. I mean, it looks like an official login. I just kind of spoofed something so it looked pretty. Let's create our own login. The idea here being is that if you were looking at your server, you might not care what that was. You would like, oh, I don't know what that is, but it looks weird, but whatever. SQL in the city hack. So now I've got my own SA login under your system. Life is grand. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, because now there's just almost nothing you can do. I mean, at this point, things get, hang on, wrong window. Let me get back over to here. Let's refresh. And there it is. SQL in the city hack. So at this point, that I've got, now that I, by the way, just buzzed. Now that I've got complete control of your system, and I do, I've got everything. I'm not going to crash it. I'm not going to put it in the ground. I'm not going to bury you. Maybe I will. Maybe I'm just a malicious hack, and that's all it is. Maybe I'm not trying to steal. Maybe I'm just a monster come in to destroy stuff, which would be bad. But let's assume that I'm just here to steal. At this point, I can start taking control. Now, when I say take control, think about this. It's not simply that, yeah, I can steal your data and I can create tables and I can move things around, all of which I can do. Easy. I mean, union all's magic. As soon as I do union all, I can do anything I want. Just as soon as we make that break, I can do anything I want. That's not the key. The key is, once I've got SA, I can turn off your monitoring. I don't have to let you run the extended events that you're running. And I'll go in and we'll go in and look at the other extended events as well, just to show you, so you can see what they are. But I don't have to let you run extended events. I don't have to let you query the server. I can turn off stuff so you can't see what's going on. So if you're trying to monitor things locally, if you're trying to keep track of things locally, I can make it so you can't see it. I can spoof it. I can do whatever control I want to do. I've got access to your system. All I've got to do is send in T-SQL commands. And if you're smart enough about this stuff, that's what you're going to do, is use T-SQL commands. I mean, I'm sitting here using a GUI to demonstrate for you, but if I were hacking it, I would do nothing but command line stuff. I've got access to PowerShell. Oh, by the way, did we turn on XP Command Shell? Let's go turn on XP Command Shell. No, it's just the execute login as my new metric. We can pull stuff in. This is all fun. Yes, let's do this. So here's the command, nice and simple. I mean, you guys all know this already. This isn't news to you. All I'm going to do is terminate the thing and then say execute configure show advanced options, execute configure ad hoc distributed queries. Yeah. That can be turned on. I can turn on XP command shell. I can turn on whatever I want. And once I've turned that stuff on, I've got access to the PowerShell underneath. I can start sending out stuff to go anywhere I want to go. This is a complete control and a complete hack of your system. You no longer have control of it. Not only is your data exposed, but your system is exposed, and possibly your underlying network. Everything is open. This is the most heinous and horrible way to set up servers. So, if you're doing that today, you need to get these things that I'm showing you set up on your monitoring systems. You need to set that up now. If you think you might be doing that today and you're not sure, you guys aren't doing the kinds of command checks that you should be doing regularly against your websites and all those things, you should be setting these things up. If you think you've probably already got things under control, you should probably set up this monitoring just in case. This is like a spare tire. You don't want it anywhere near your car until you need it. And then when you need it and you don't have it, you're in pain. So avoid the pain. Let's collect this stuff now. Before we move on, let me show you one other query. I think I've got it already up. Let's go back over here. No, I do not. Hang on one second. Yeah, I know it says custom sniffing report. I tried to hide it from people. Execute this query. I'm not going to go into all of it. This is available, by the way, at the Redgate hub. You can, at the Learning Center, all this information that I've been going over is available, and you guys can track it down. I'll show you the URL before we leave. What this query gives me is because I've got all these metrics set up inside of extended events, I can go in there and say, like, well, which user added this information? Well, it was this user. You know, it's administrator. Okay, that's a problem. But where did they come from? Well, all of that information is also in here someplace. Where'd it go? And yeah, you can see I turned on XP command shell. You can see every command and error that I put together. All of that stuff is being exposed. I thought there was, oh right, there it is. Added from the Node.js application. So you can see that my RESTful application is the one that did it. Oh, here, let me zoom in so you guys can see that. Right there, okay? That's how it works. It's not that hard. Now, I promised also to show you the other extended events. Let's go in and take a look at those real quick. Where are we? Not agent, not logs, extended events. Now, the other ones I have running is configuration items changed. Let's take a look at the properties on that. Now, you saw the one was just the errors that have occurred. This one, come on, hurry up. This one is simply errors reported as well. And so it's just a question of which errors have been reported. Let's go to the filters, and it's again, these specific errors are what's going to come up as you make configuration item changes. Okay, cool. Now we know that. And those ones you saw in the error log, so that's, you know, nice that you can at least see that. You've already seen the monitor suspicious errors. Let's take a look at who changed what. One second, just get to the events. This one has a couple more. Very simple, object altered, object created, object deleted. Let's go to configure, because you can see there are filters for it. And it's basically, have you made changes to these objects and filtered based on that stuff? Once we know this, once we know which stuff you've been changing, we can track things down. The other thing I am using, we are using in these things, we are using the default trace. Yeah, there's one trace thing that's still somewhat useful. I'm still trying to figure out a way to do it without the default trace. I'm working on that. I'm going to make that go away. But it's not done yet. So that's where we're at. Now, that's everything. Let's go back to the slides for a minute. So here's what you should be doing, what you ought to be doing when you guys are working inside of your SQL Server systems. First off, you've got to use the least privilege principle. SA on the server, SA on the system. for this little tiny application that runs queries against my database is wrong. Fundamentally wrong. You need to be scattering sensitive data. This query is running some stuff to bring back a little bit of information. Should it be in the same place where my credit cards are stored? Probably not. Credit cards should probably be stored someplace else. However, if it's sensitive data, that stuff should be encrypted at rest. You should not be able to simply query the table and retrieve that data. You're going to have to go through the security keys and all those things. Now, the fact that you've given me SA privileges on the server as well as SA privileges on the instance means I can probably track those keys down. But make it hard for me. Make me work for it. You also need to be sanitizing your input. Now, you probably should be escaping out the characters so I can't just inject stuff like I'm doing, but you should also be parameterizing your queries. Now, does that mean, I know there's developers out there who are just right now ready to deliver a cow. Does that mean that you should be using nothing but stored procedures? No. There are ways to parameterize queries through Entity Framework, through InHibernate, through all these tools to allow you to parameterize queries and use correct data types so that you're ensuring that you're protecting your systems. And you should be monitoring these specific errors and all this stuff so that you know whether or not SQL injection is occurring. Now, once you're setting up monitoring for SQL injection, it's really simple. You look for the errors that are linked to it, because they are going to generate a whole series of errors as they experiment with your system and find their way through it. These hacks do not occur instantly. It takes some time to figure out what you've exposed and how you've exposed it. So there's a whole bunch of work you have to do. You need to track changes to permissions. Your production servers should not be having changes to permissions on a regular basis, right? So you track those changes and know when they occurred, because if something happens to permissions, that's probably an indication you have a problem. You need to monitor server configuration settings as soon as they expose XP command shell so they can FTP the data to someplace else so they can play with it at their leisure. Yes, that's a thing. You need to know that that happened. And you want to watch for database drift. You want to watch them making changes to the database themselves. These are the things you're going to monitor for. Now, Monitor exposes this stuff very simply. We've got metrics and alerts already set up. You guys can take advantage of it. You don't have to do any extra work. And you can combine it with Microsoft tools. The ability to take extended events, which is an amazing, amazing set of tools, and put that together to generate the information and combine that with Monitor so that you can then get the alerting and the monitoring and all the history and track record and all that fun stuff so you know what's happened and how it's happened over time makes it for a massively available tool. And that's where you want to get to. Now, you want to go to product learning at redgate.com. It's redgate.com/hub/product learning. If you do a search, put in topic security monitoring. First one that's going to come up is all the stuff that I've just gone through for you today in a lot more detail. Right now, Tony Davis is probably watching, and he is horrified at the 5 or 6 details that I have left off that he reminded me of 6 times yesterday as we did the run through on this. So hopefully we hit our goals. Talked about the databases under threat and how Monitor can help you monitor them. Kendra, are there any questions at all in the last minute and a half? Okay. Well, with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reclaim that minute and a half, and that'll put us almost exactly back on track for our sessions today. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. This is SQL in the City. This is Redgate Software, and we're having a blast.